Good morning, everyone. What's up? Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Wednesday, May the 27th. Overall markets continue to push towards the upside. Semis, specifically memory here, pushing up very nicely. MU up about 9% here in the pre-market. We have WDC, we have SNDK, a lot of names moving nicely here. Even AMD up about 2% here in the pre-market. As you can see, SMH is really leading the markets higher, up 2.6% in the pre-market. And if you're looking at the memory ETF, up almost 5% here in the pre-market. So a lot of nice names are moving. A couple of the tech names are lagging behind. AMD was up nicely yesterday. We ended up trading that one up 7%. The rest of the Meg 7, you can see a lot of red here. So really just memory holding up the markets plus MU, of course. Besides that, we'll take a look at the economic calendar. Let me pull this up. As we do that, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning, Kelvin, B Roots, Maria, Jean. Good morning, Andy. What's up, Knight? Vate, Victor, A3. What's up, everyone? Oswald, Gerald, Kevin, Lamit. Good morning, Robert, Maria, Martin, Cinna, Nickelodeon. Good morning, Josh, Sam, Cosmic. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me pull up the economic calendar here and we'll get started. Okay, so as for the economic calendar, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, not too much coming into this week. The only red folder news events that we do have is going to be core PCE price index, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And then we do have the prelim GDP that's going to be tomorrow here as well. We have unemployment. And yeah, that's about it, at least for the economic calendar. As for the earnings calendar, really not too much to talk about. We have Dell reporting in a couple days. That's kind of the main one. But besides that, really not too much news here in the markets. Really more based off technicals. And as you can see, the markets are just continuing to push higher. So let's first start off on the QQQ. Let's go on to the daily time frame. So as you can see here on the daily chart, key level that we have was our previous all-time highs. So if we're looking at this on the weekly time frame, we're now breaking outside of this level. Similar thing here on the SPY and the rest of the tickers as well. So as you can see on the hourly time frame, key level that we have marked out yesterday was just our 720. That was key for the QQQ. Maintain a bullish bias in the markets above our 720 for continuation. So for the QQQ, we ended up not quite coming back down in towards that 722 since the Qs was a little bit more bullish. But as you can see here for the SPY chart, the SPY hasn't been moving up as nicely compared to the QQQ along with the SMH. So for the SPY, you can see we end up holding this level nicely, which was our previous day highs. And we're now getting a nice little bounce off our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside. So on the SPY chart, this level held is holding it nicely, which is our 749. You can see break and retest in the morning. And then later into the session, we're still holding this level here on the higher time frames. If you look at the futures chart, we're essentially using this level as a break and retest here as well. So break, retest, and now we're slowly pushing back up in towards our highs that we created this week. So not as bullish here on the ES. If we're looking at the NQ clearly using this level, we're now breaking above our previous day highs and we're continuing to push higher. The reason being is because a lot of the semiconductors, a lot of the tech names are leading the markets higher. So that's why the NQ is pushing up. If you're looking at the SMH here now, a really strong push compared to the Qs and even the SPY in itself. So if we go on to the QQQ chart today, the key levels that we're going to have marked out is going to be that previous day highs. So that's going to be key coming to market open. 730, maintain above that 730 for continuation towards the upside. If you're looking at the SPY chart, key level, similar thing, previous day highs, maintain above that previous day highs for a continued push higher. And of course, the main thing right now is the SMH, which is the semiconductors. If we're looking at the key levels that we have marked out, 604. So as you can see on the daily time frame, we end up having that nice dip. that we end up getting bought up last week. So we end up defending this gap level here on the daily chart, and now we're breaking back above our all-time highs, and we're continuing to push higher. If we're looking at this on the daily, the SMH, of course, is very much bullish. Key levels that we have today is going to be that 604 previous day highs. Nothing really else to kind of base it off of. We can also mark out our pre-market levels here as well. Break above our pre-market highs, continuation towards the upside. So for the SMH, other things we can do as well is draw some of the Fibonacci's that we have. So from yesterday, we draw it from our swing low to our swing high. Next targets on the SMH, we can mark out 620 and then all the way up and towards our 627 for the SMH coming into market open. So that's what we have for the major indices today. Of course, we're gapping up here. So the higher time frames is bullish. We don't really have too many major support levels besides our previous day highs. So for the overall markets, as long as we maintain above our previous day highs, similar thing to yesterday, we're going to maintain a bullish bias in the markets. So SPY above previous day highs, Qs above previous day highs, and of course the semiconductors above previous day highs here as well. Even if we're taking a look at the IWM, this is the one that I talked about on the weekly chart, a really solid break and retest on the weekly. You can see nice break, retest above our 272, end up having a nice strong candle close last week. And now you can see the IWM is also pushing back towards the upside here as well. So 287.50. Now we just like to see continuation above our 287.50 for a move higher. So you can mark out this general area, right? 287.50. You can also now mark out our previous day highs here as well. Let me change this color. As for the IWM today, key levels that you have marked out is going to be that 290 previous day highs. Maintain above that 290 for that continued push towards the upside. Above your pre-market high here as well for a potential move higher. So that's what we have in the major indices today. The game plan is just going to be going for continuation as per usual, right? That's been the same thing in the past few months, ever since we had that rally from April where we started to bottom. Every single day we've been coming to the markets with basically the same game plan, just looking for any sort of pullbacks to long in the markets until it doesn't work, until we start flipping on the higher time frames. Then we're going to be a little bit more open as shorts. We're a little bit open to shorts earlier last week. Couple days, but besides that, right, it didn't last too long. Buyers immediately stepped in, and then we were looking for that continued push higher. Okay, that being said, let's go on to a bunch of tech names that we have coming to today. There's a lot of things to talk about, specifically some semis, along with some memory names, other names that have higher time frame setups here as well. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. All right, let's talk about Tesla first. So Tesla here shaping up actually nicely on the weekly. Daily time frames starting to build up higher lows as well. Slowly pushing back towards the upside, but Tesla looks good, especially coming to the SpaceX IPO. We have room back up and towards our all-time highs. I do like Tesla a lot. So as you can see here on the weekly time frame, we end up having this nice little reaction earlier into the year or coming into 2026. And now you can see we came all the way back down towards that 350, building up higher lows here on the weekly time frame. What I like to see for Tesla, there's actually a lot of room back towards the upside. I think timing it is going to be a little bit more difficult, but based off the daily chart, or sorry, based off the weekly time frame, this one looks right like a kind of a major cup and handle here on the weekly chart. So for Tesla, there is going to be room back up and towards our 460 along with our 500 and even room above, if now we can break back above this 450. So for Tesla, still fairly neutral here on the weekly chart, but leaning slightly bullish. If we can break back above now that 430, which we're currently doing in the pre-market, if we can break back above that 450, that's going to be a good sign for Tesla for continuation back towards the upside. Key levels that we have marked out today. Previous day highs is going to be that 432, maintain above that 432, continuation up and towards that 450. Here is in play on Tesla. Other levels that we can have marked out now as well is going to be this pre-market high. So we can draw this out, which also coincides with the area that we broke down from, plus this gap fill all the way back from May the 14th. So for Tesla coming to market open here today, as I mentioned, just keep an eye out on that previous day highs along with that pre-market highs, which is going to be key. Longs are in play above our pre-market high for a push up and towards that 450. Another possible scenario is going to be the hold above our 432 for that continuation back towards the upside. So these are the two scenarios that we have for Tesla coming to market open. If we're looking at NVIDIA, NVIDIA is in a really key spot, really lagging behind everything else, but I do like NVIDIA a lot. This is more so going to shape up on the weekly time frame. So as you can see right here, this is our previous all-time highs. What I'd like to see now on NVIDIA, break, retest, continuation here on the weekly chart. I like to see buyers step in exactly right off this 210 area for this continuation back towards the upside. If we're looking at this on the daily chart, key levels that we have marked out, 210, 212, kind of this general area, right? It can do a little bit of an overshoot, reclaim, push back higher, or we can bounce kind of perfectly right off this area and we can continue back towards the upside. Regardless, longer term, I am bullish on NVIDIA, at least short term. We're going to have to see a couple of reclaims back above key levels if we do want to see any sort of push higher. Key levels intraday, what we're going to have marked out is our 212. We also have our earnings low along with our earnings high. So if we do want to see NVIDIA bounce play here, 212, or now back above that earnings low for that continued push back towards the upside. So this is what we have for NVIDIA coming into market open. You can see yesterday we ended up kind of having this pop and fade right off that earnings low for that push lower, right? This is our key level of support that turned into resistance. So if we do want to see some upside, need to break back above our previous day highs, hold for that continuation higher. As for AMD, one of my main watches coming into yesterday, along with a couple other semiconductors, right? Nice gap filled. And once we broke above, coming into last week, and of course, yesterday we're above our previous day highs. We're now looking for continuation. So for AMD, key levels that we have marked out coming into today is our previous day highs. Key levels that we had yesterday was at 480, and then we also had that 504. So for AMD coming to market open, key level is just going to be that previous day highs, maintain above that previous day highs, hold for that push back towards the upside. So AMD, you can see nice previous day high hold yesterday, similar thesis coming to market open today, maintain above that 508, continuation towards the upside. Above our previous day highs, above our pre-market highs, continuation higher here as well. What's the difference between your yellow and red zone? Nothing's really a difference. They're all just key support and resistance levels. Sometimes they might be red if I forgot to change it or whatnot, but in theory, it's just kind of the red ones are more resistance levels and then the green ones are more demand levels. We're getting a nice pop here in the pre-market. I'm not sure if we had some news in the past 5 to 10 minutes, but you can see SPYs bouncing nicely off that previous day highs. Q, similar thing here as well. And then we're getting a nice pop on the SMH. So not sure if a name had some news here or we just end up having a bounce here in the pre-market. But as you can see for Apple, let's go into this one on the daily chart. Still very much bullish. Key levels for Apple. What we have here is our previous day highs. So our previous day highs is going to be key 311. If we do want to see any sort of upside above our 311, continuation higher. So that's going to be the key level for Apple coming into market open. Besides that, we're going to be a little bit more patient on this ticker. Google, right in towards our key level. Keep an eye out on our 380. Google's in a good spot on the daily time frame. But you can see a little bit more consolidation in the past couple of weeks. Still would like to see a daily higher low be built for that pushback towards the upside. So that's what we have for Google coming to market open here today. Microsoft, really just at the low of the range, not really too much to talk about here. For Microsoft, a lot more consolidation. So we like to see the bounce off 414, right? Google, Apple, no, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, along with Netflix, names that are very difficult to trade within the past month or so, right? Not really participating inside of this rally that we've had towards the upside. The rally's really been primarily on the semiconductors and a lot of other names. So until we can see some strength or maybe a rotation into some of these tech names, we want to be a little bit more cautious, specifically for day trading, right? Meta really been bad the past month. Similar thing with Microsoft, right? Hasn't been really tradable within the past month. Amazon, similar thesis. And then, of course, Netflix, similar thing as well. So these names we won't really talk about until we start seeing some news catalysts or maybe some higher time frames starting to set up on those ones. But yeah, with that being said, let's go into a couple of these tech names that we have here, along with some semis and memory. A lot of things to talk about. Specifically, MU up 19% yesterday, up 8% in the pre-market here as well, almost hitting 1,000. So for MU, we also hit $1 trillion market cap yesterday, which we'll talk about. So yeah, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. We have a decent amount of things to go over. We also have some time today, so we'll go over a bunch of tickers. So if you guys do have any names that you'd like me to go over, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. All right, let's first talk about MU. MU here on the weekly time frame ended up breaking back above our all-time highs yesterday. You can see nice strong candle close. This is on the weekly. On the daily chart, similar thing. Nice gap and go yesterday. End up holding this down close candle. Super solid gap. So this is a gap and go on MU. Gapped above our previous all-time highs. Once we gapped above, continuation towards the upside is in play. So the key levels we had marked out was this previous all-time highs 820. So nice break and retest above our 820 coming into market open. You can see we kind of had this immediate retest, or right off the bat, price just immediately stepped in, right? Buyers stepped in, you had their 5-minute range high, and then you end up having continuation towards the upside. And plus, of course, now we have this gap up here as well. So for MU coming to market open, we are a little bit farther away from our previous day highs. Key levels that we have marked out is that basically that 900 key psych level. And of course, we have now our pre-market highs, which is our 980. MU, if you want to see any sort of continuation long today, above our pre-market high, up and towards our 1000 key psych level. Another possible scenario, the first dip, and you have some sort of reclaim back above your pre-market high, or if price came all the way back down, you could be looking for that previous day high retest off our 920 on MU. So these are the scenarios that you have. Preferably the best case scenarios is going to be this 920 bounce or above our pre-market highs for a push up and towards 1,000. So that's what you have for MU coming to market open. I think there's better opportunity risk reward ratio wise on some of these names now, like Intel, right? Kind of lagging behind just a little bit, but these ones are shaping up nicely. Something like MU is going to continue higher. I for sure would not be looking for shorts, right? If you're looking at this on the daily chart, it's been very difficult. You've had maybe a couple nice shorting opportunities. And now we're about to have a potential another blow off the top type of move. So we're about to have a gap yesterday. We're about to have a gap today. If let's say we have one more strong push on MU today, then potentially you could be looking for maybe a blow off the top type move or a parabolic short, which really doesn't set up as often. So MU is setting up for something of the sorts, but you want to be a little bit more cautious if you are, as I mentioned, trying to go for a parabolic short, right? Timing it isn't going to be, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to time. You're going to have to give it more wiggle room on the shorts, maybe 1 to 2 weeks out expiration, and you're just going to be on lower sides looking for a potential reversal trade. But at least for MU, Right, key levels that we have today is going to be that pre-market high along with that 920. Let's take a look at SNDK. SNDK, another memory name that's had a nice push yesterday. We talked about that previous day high being key. So nice previous day high break and retest for continuation towards the upside. Key levels that we have today is going to be that previous day highs, which is that 1640, along with our previous all-time highs, which is our 1600. So for SNDK today, if we want to maintain a bullish bias above our previous day highs for a push higher, if we break underneath our previous day highs, it'd still be bullish as long as you can maintain above our previous all-time highs, which is that 1600. If you look at this on the daily time frame, right, this is going to be key, right? Daily chart on SNDK, as long as you can maintain above your previous all-time highs, right, it can wick down, but you really want to see now a strong candle close above that 1600, which is that previous all-time highs. Intel. Intel, one of my favorite names here, a little bit slower compared to the memory names here, of course, but Intel shaped up very nicely. Keep an eye out on Intel today for potential move back up and towards our all-time highs. Key level is at 122. We're slowly kind of building up higher lows here. Now, what I like to see is this retest above that 122, push up in towards our number one, 126, and then above 130 along with their 134. Intel, one of my favorite names, as I mentioned. So keep an eye out on that previous day highs today. What I'd like to see is just build up these higher lows. So as you can see so far for Intel, higher lows are being built on the hourly, maintain above key levels, all-time highs in play. So Intel previous day highs is that trigger today. What we have is our 126 break and retest above our 126, push up and towards 130 and above. Other possible scenario, bounce play here off that 122, continuation higher. So Intel is going to be one of my favorite names coming to market open. This one has not hit all-time highs. So what we'd like to see is that push up in towards that all-time high. So any name that hasn't, right, we're going to be looking for that all-time highs push, right? MU already hit all-time highs, SNDK all-time highs, AMD all-time highs, right? WDC, another one that hit all-time highs here as well. So this one, first dip got bought up, and now we're getting that continuation up and towards that all-time highs level. So for WDC, another name that's moved up nicely. Key levels that we have marked out is our 500. And then, of course, now we're going to mark out that previous day highs, which is a little bit farther away, down in towards our 536. And now pre-market above our pre-market highs, continuation higher here as well. So for WDC and the rest of these names, we're going to have to base it off of intraday price action coming to today. Just want to say thank you, Jack, because of watching and learning from you. I have better grasp positions to take. Thank you. Appreciate that, John. Thanks for the 20 as well. Let's go on to a couple more names. Iran is reporting draft on negotiations. Makes sense that we're getting this nice pop here in the pre-market. Are these futures or swing trades? They're more, there's actually a couple of nice things coming up. We have PDT coming up, SpaceX IPO, a lot of good things for retail. Plus we have, I think it's in the Q3, beginning of Q3, we have like 24/7 options coming. We have futures for single stocks. So there's a lot of good things coming to retail, especially different trading instruments. It's going to help us out quite a bit. As for a few other tickers, TSM, this one's beautiful. This one on the weekly time frame. Talked about this one a couple weeks ago here on the weekly chart, weekly time frame break and retest. So as you can see, weekly break, retest, continuation above that 380. So TSM finally broke above, which is super solid. So as you can see, nice retest last week or a couple weeks. We've been kind of holding this level nicely, which happens to be that 380. And now you can see for TSM breaking above our previous day highs, along with our previous all-time highs here in the pre-market. So for TSM, key levels now is going to be that pre-market highs along with our previous day highs, which is far away, plus our previous all-time highs, which is super far away as well. So for TSM, if we want to see continuation today, really maintain above this 420 for this pushback towards the upside. Another possible scenario above that 432 for that continued push higher. So that's what I have for TSM. As for a few other semis that we'll talk about here, we can even talk about these other names, but let's go on to Qualcomm. Qualcomm's been pushing up super solid. If we look at this on the weekly chart, Qualcomm, I do expect to move up in towards right 260, 270 in the near future, but this is a really solid move. We went from our really 200 all the way up in towards 250. And if you're looking at this on the hourly chart, now for Qualcomm, we just like to see it maintain above this 245. That would be the best case scenario for continuation higher. This is at previous all-time highs. Another possible scenario above our pre-market highs, or sorry, previous day highs for continuation here as well. If we break back underneath, then I'm going to be a little bit more cautious. We can still build up higher lows on the daily. We can still build up higher lows on the hourly time frame, but preferably that is going to happen above our 245 here on Qualcomm. So we can mark out that previous day highs here as well. ARM, similar thesis. We've had a nice move the past couple of days. Once we broke above this flag pattern, basically been green every single day after breaking out. As for ARM, every single dip so far has been bought up. Key levels coming into market open. We can just refine some of these levels. We have now our previous day highs. So we have this marked out. Other levels that we can have marked out here. I'm just going to mark out this. So I'm going to refine it to our previous day lows along with our Thursday's highs of last week. So for ARM moving forward, what we like to see is we can still actually have this level marked out, which is our Friday's highs. If we do want to see continuation higher above our previous day highs for a continued push, or now we can hold that Friday's highs of last week, 312 for continuation towards the upside. So ARM still very bullish along with Qualcomm. Now it doesn't make too much sense if you're looking for long positions after breaking out last week. As I mentioned, I think there's better opportunity. Something like Intel for a push higher. Not saying ARM is not going to continue higher. It is going to continue higher, but just based off it being up 5 days in a row, I think there's better opportunity out there in the markets, risk reward. As for a couple other names, we can look at the memory ETF, DRM has been continuing higher, right? We've been just looking for any sort of names that have dips, major dips for continuation, right? We've been using the EMAs, right? You can use the 9 and 21. That's a good reference, at least on the daily chart. So as long as we hold above these EMAs, right? Above the 9 EMA, of course, is going to be the most bullish, but also this 21 day period moving average is a good reference point for continuation. So all these names are just above our 9 and 21. And if so far something like Intel, right, kind of broke underneath the 9, but held the 21, and now we're reclaiming back above, right, next level is going to be that all-time highs. So for something like Intel, as I mentioned, keep an eye on Intel today for a potential push back above our previous day highs for a move higher. Other names, I went over a lot of these semiconductors. Let's go over Dell. This one, similar thing to like ARM. Nice break above our previous, kind of this flag pattern. We end up having this nice trade towards the upside. Dell, I could expect continuation. Key levels for Dell is going to be that previous day highs. So if we go back onto that 15-minute time frame, let's just mark out this whole general area, 309 here on Dell. If you do want to see continuation above our previous day highs, hold for that pushback towards the upside. Another possible scenario is going to be the bounce play off our 297 for a continuation higher here as well. So a lot of these names are now, I'd say, not overextended, right? But the thing about whenever we're trading higher is that we can move higher, but you're just going to be looking for pullbacks for continuation. So names like this, it doesn't make too much sense, especially if you're going to trade on a bigger size, right? If you're going to buy up here, make sure it's on lighter size. The best case is whenever you have pullbacks, that's when you're going to load the boat, right, closer to the EMAs, right, on a pullback, right? If it's overextended, let's say you end up missing this breakout move, then you're just going to be trading this on lower size and trying to capture moves like intraday. Something like a good example of this is AMD. So if you didn't buy last week closer to that 400 for a swing higher, and you're buying closer to, right, your previous day highs, right, you can still get good day trading entries. but they're just more on lower size. If you're swinging it, be a little bit more cautious up into these areas, but you can still find good areas of risk reward, right? Something like AMD yesterday, previous day highs, this scenario is looking for the break underneath. And now you can look to trade this all the way towards the upside. Something like this is in play for AMD, right? But this is more of a the day trader's entry. If you're looking for something like Intel today, right? Intel, right? We can have a trade setting up today more so like this, right? We're looking for that all-time highs push. Stop is going to be a break underneath that 122, right? This is going to be solid. We have targets back up and towards our all-time highs. If we're trading MU now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Yesterday, we're closer to that all-time highs level, at least for today, right? We're even farther away from our previous day highs. So if it came back down towards that previous day highs, we can be setting up a trade scenario like this, back up and towards our pre-market highs. If we're above our pre-market highs, then we're kind of in blue sky territories. So it might be a little bit more difficult to trade since we don't have targets, but it would have to be something like this. Right? If you buy your pre-market highs, your risk cannot be all the way back down in towards our previous day highs. That wouldn't make too much sense. So you'd have to form some sort of trade thesis closer to that pre-market high with a risk underneath. All right, let's go on to a couple other names that have been moving nicely as of recent. Nokia's been moving up nicely. Names that we don't normally talk about. Nokia kind of just holding this 9 and 21. Nice push towards the upside. This one, retail heavy. The weekly has been shaping up nicely as well. If you're looking at this on the weekly time frame, we're kind of breaking out of a major consolidation that we've had for the past like 10 plus years. So now with this breakout, as long as we maintain above key levels, we just like to see now previous levels of resistance now turn into support. Other names that have been moving nicely, TE was one of watches coming into a couple days ago. This entry kind of right off that previous retest level have been solid. There's a couple news catalysts on this one that have been moving up nicer, but previous day highs is going to be key on this ticker. Right, keep this in mind. Break, retest above now. It's going to be this 1050. Other names that we have shaping up, NVTS. Talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but nice break and retest on this one. This one's been fairly hot theme as well. Nice retest, really perfectly off that previous. I'm not sure if this is not our all-time highs, but this is a very key level of resistance. Now you can see turn into support for continuation higher. Now let's go on to my game plan just coming into today, and then I'm going to call it a day here. So coming into market open for the major indices, right, with this another pop here in the pre-market, we're going to have to base it off of intraday price action today, plus our previous day highs, which is farther away. If we drop all the way back down towards that previous day highs, right, we can be looking for some sort of potential bounce play here off that previous day highs. If we just kind of use that first 5 minutes. That first 5 minutes is going to be key in the markets. If we drop or have a bearish first 5-minute candle, we can come back down for that previous day highs as I mentioned. If that first 5-minute candles is indecisive, then we're just going to be waiting for the break above for continuation higher, or we'd be waiting for the break below for a potential push back down in towards that previous day highs. SPY is a little bit more easier to read today just because it's closer to that previous day highs. So for the SPY, that's going to be a good reference point. As long as we're above our previous day highs here on the SPY, we're looking for continuation, right? You can see the futures is in a very key spot. We need the futures above our pre-market highs, preferably maintain above our previous day highs for continuation. So we have 2 key levels for the ES futures today. So that's something to keep in mind. We need it above key levels. And then as for the SMH, this one's just going to continue higher. So semis are leading towards the upside. Key level is going to be 420, and then next level 425, 427. Main watches today, we'll keep an eye out on Tesla. Tesla above our pre-market highs, room up and towards 450. So keep this in mind. NVIDIA, be a little bit more patient. We're going to wait for that flip back above that 219 for potential trade higher. AMD, let's keep an eye out on that previous day highs. So our previous day highs for potential move towards the upside. And then for the rest of the names, right, not really interested in, right, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Netflix. I'm going to be a lot more interested in some of these semiconductors. MU, previous day highs is going to be key, plus your first kind of 10 to 15 minutes. So mark out that opening range. And then one of my main watches today is going to be Intel, right? Keep an eye out for Intel break above our previous day highs. Continuation up and towards our all-time highs here is in play. So Intel main watch coming to market open. As for a few other names to keep an eye out for, you can keep an eye on that previous day high retest on some of these memory names. But Intel is going to be my main watch along with Tesla, along with AMD, and then the rest of the names, right? Just keep an eye on that previous day highs. Right, that's going to be a good reference point. If we're well above our previous day highs, it might be a little bit more difficult to trade. Like something like TSM, it's a good technical setup. You might have to base it a little bit more off of intraday price action. Like if we're looking at this on the hourly time frame, right? TSM next best buying opportunity makes sense around this 420, right? That's our previous retest level. So buying around that 432 just might be a little bit more difficult unless, as I mentioned, you get some sort of pre-market high retest and your trade thesis would be looking like this, right? Stop underneath our pre-market highs and you'd be looking for continuation. So it's just a little bit farther away from our key levels. It's still valid just because of the higher time frames, but more, I'm not saying more discretionary, but you're just gonna have to base it more off of intraday price action. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, just keep an eye on Intel along with Tesla coming to market open. Couple names that have been lagging behind just a little bit, still bullish on the higher time frame. So with the overall markets at all-time highs, you're going to see a couple more sympathy names and some names that have been lagging. They're going to get bought up, and we're going to be looking for a continuation on those ones. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I am going to get ready for market open here now. Got to let Walter in. That's funny. But yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right. Take care, everyone. Peace.